We're, of course, here to bring you all the big-name managers, and Newcastle have suffered yet another injury blow for Eddie Howe. We can go live to Keith Downey, who spoke to the Newcastle boss a short time ago. Good to see you, Keith, but goodness me, what can you tell us? Such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, morning, Hayley. It's been injury after injury for Newcastle and their manager Eddie Howe over the last couple of months due to the fixture schedule they've had to contend with, playing both domestically and in Europe. And Joelinton was taken off against Sunderland in the FA Cup last week. They were a bit worried about the injury at first, and this morning at his news conference, Eddie Howe has brought the news that he will be missing for at least 6 months with a quad injury, a hammer blow for the Newcastle manager.
He's got a problem with his tendon in his quad. Without going too detailed, it's a very difficult place to get an injury, hence the time scale that he's going to be out. So he's very disappointed. He's very, he wants to play, he wants to do well. So yeah, we've had to do a job of trying to pick Joe up, really.
Yeah, a big blow then. And yesterday we saw comments as well from Newcastle's chief executive, didn't we, Darren Eales, who appeared to suggest some star players could actually have to leave in order to comply with financial fair play. What did Howe have to say about that situation he's going to have to deal with now?
Yeah, Hayley, very similar from the Newcastle manager this morning. That is a message that's been relayed to him from the powers that be at the club. And look, I think that's the case for all Premier League clubs now. They need to trade because it's advantageous for them to sell players when it comes to financial fair play. If they manage to sell, it gives them more headroom to then go and purchase the way FFP works. So, look, not what Newcastle want to do, I'm sure. They won't want to sell their big players, but that message coming across from Darren Eales yesterday. And then Eddie Howe asked today a direct question: can you give the supporters, the Newcastle supporters, assurances that nobody will be sold before the end of the January transfer window? And this is what he had to say.
I can't offer any assurance on that, and regardless of our financial fair play situation or financial situation, that would be the case, because you can never tell what's going to happen in football. And I think I need to make this point clear. I think the Premier League club will sell players now because of the rules placed upon them. You've seen Manchester City sell some very, very good players recently, and their income, as Damien said, is probably the highest of any Premier League club. So that will be the landscape for everybody. We're no different.
Due to the injury situation at Newcastle, the amount of games they've had to play, and the fact, of course, they do have rich owners. Newcastle are always getting linked with new players coming into the club. Remember, they've spent £400 million since the takeover was pushed through back in October 2021. The latest name to be linked with the club this week was Bournemouth's Dominic Solanke. There was a report that suggested an inquiry had been made to Bournemouth for the forward, of course, a player that Eddie Howe signed for the Cherries. And he was asked about that story today, and this is what he had to say.
Yes, I love Dominic Solanke. I signed him and rate him very highly. But we have not made an inquiry for him, and we don't have the ability to sign a player of that level.
It is just one win in 6 league games for Newcastle, isn't it, as well, Keith? It doesn't get any easier tomorrow for them, does it?
No, Manchester City coming to St James's Park, but I think Newcastle will be boosted by the fact they've already beaten them this season. They knocked them out of the Carabao Cup at St James's Park back in September, so they know how to beat Pep Guardiola's side, but obviously it's going to be a lot difficult in the league. City have Kevin De Bruyne back at their disposal, and as I've already said, Newcastle missing so many players due to injury, and Joelinton in these matches is crucial. Of course, he will not play tomorrow. So another huge game for Newcastle. Just 2 matches to go until the end of January, against City tomorrow and then Aston Villa. In the middle of that, you'll be pleased they've got a 2-week break.
I think they're the team to beat. I think for obvious reasons, really. Their record in recent seasons has been incredible, and I think the last few seasons, they've sort of been in a similar pattern, really, where they've just timed their run. And then the second half of the season, they've been very, very difficult to play against once they have that momentum and that target to go for. So I think they've got the best manager in the world. Their style of play is very, very difficult to combat. So we have a lot of different challenges this weekend, but I believe that we can really compete in this game, and I think we've prepared well. So hopefully that reflects on what we do.
Eddie Howe there on Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. Just to finish off, Hayley, he was also asked if they plan to maybe use the loan market this January due to the fact they don't have much room to manoeuvre when it comes to financial fair play. What Eddie Howe said is, we don't have too many friends at the moment, so I'm not too sure how that is going to work out. Not the news the Newcastle United supporters wanted to hear as we're in the midst of the January transfer window, but obviously things difficult for Newcastle with financial fair play, and Eddie Howe repeating that warning from Darren Eales yesterday that they may have to sell before they can buy.
Oh, Keith, thank you very much indeed.